17.
Thanks, homie. What's up,
I'm in
dude?
the hot seat.
You are. And the
What's
hot
happening?
seat is the fact that you fucking bailed on our tea time. The first thing you're supposed to do when
No
you come to
comment.
Austin is golf with Alec. What the
True.
fuck?
It's true. I had some prior obligations that I didn't realize I was spoken for.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure, dude.
I really dropped the ball.
Sure.
Actually, I didn't even hit the ball. We didn't get a chance.
You missed everything.
man.
The balls were not hit. But it was okay because I had only a mildly successful
Round.
yeah, like it was there was 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like probably a third of the holes were actually felt because they were like a little higher on the hill. So it was a little
Okay.
tough anyways. And I think I shot like a 94 when I was hoping to like
That's
break.
good for 25 mile per hour winds. Huh?
Yeah, I guess, but that course I've always historically played really well at. That's why I picked it because I want to show
Oh,
off.
okay.
I want to
Yeah.
show off for you, you know.
Now I feel really bad.
No, do
but
not.
we could do some top golf if it's in the cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
Well, I forget that we have it. You're going to be here for the rest of the week.
Till Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll find a time then.
Or
to
till
go.
I'm flying out Friday, so all Thursdays.
Okay,
available.
perfect. Yeah, because it might not work out today, but I think we can still get in some time later this week, so that'll be sweet.
Hell yeah.
But welcome to Austin, man.
Thank you, bro.
It's fucking
It's
sweet to
crazy.
have
I
you
feel
here.
like I've known you for a long time, but first time meeting in person.
I used to tease my wife Nicole all the time because she would have all these Instagram friends.
Yeah.
But like you're my Instagram friend.
Yes. Hell
We
yeah.
finally
The
met.
power of digital marketing.
It's
and
insane.
Media.
I forget though. How is it that you originally found me?
So I know I was doing the blog showcase at the time. That was
Yes.
like, and I interviewed both of you guys when you had Creators Collective. It was the two of you, I believe,
Yep.
at the time. And yeah, I basically was just noticing cool people around the world that were doing cool stuff. Sounds super basic, but just picking their brains on how they were developing their brands, see if I could learn a few things, and yeah, really, I just wanted to make some friends. And so,
It's a hard world out there, you know?
yeah,
Bradley was
But-
picked on his whole life, and he finally
Yes.
made some friends online.
the hair didn't do me any favors in elementary school, but look at me now.
Look at me now, king of the world. So
yeah,
you
that's fun.
was this your way of like marketing yourself back then, or you just genuinely trying to learn?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I feel like I've always just loved having conversations with a wide variety of people. Like I feel like actually to bring up school, like I kind of was not like a floater, but I didn't have like a specific set group where it's like, oh, he's friends with the sports kids. Like
Right.
he's friends with the music, like drama crew, whatever. I was like involved lightly with all of those groups. So I kind of bounced around, and that let me talk to a lot of different cool, interesting people. And then, yeah, I've noticed that about myself now, like growing up, that I just love to hear people's stories, really. And so, yeah, I mean, selfishly, I also was like, oh, this could be good, like lead to good business as well as like a soft sell. But more so, it was more so like the long game too of like, this isn't going to immediately be like, okay, thanks for talking. So you need a website, maybe some social media. But like the relationships actually that I've grown from a lot of those initial just like showcases I still have. Like obviously with you, a coffee place in Brooklyn that I'm like really close with now. They were like one of the first showcases too, and it was cool to like almost we've all kind of like collectively come up together in a way. It's like you've helped me a ton with my business. I'd like to think I've helped other people with theirs.
I was going to
as
say
well.
we've helped each other. With
Yeah,
business.
for sure.
Keep going though.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
But no, yeah. So that was the name of it was like Break Through the Noise.
Yep.
And the concept was like, these are people that are doing something different, shaking things up in whatever industry. Such a wide variety. Like I remember I interviewed this like professional tennis player who was like doing design on the side. I was just like, oh, that's an interesting combination. Let's see what they're up to.
You made me feel cool back in the day.
You are cool.
Yeah.
You were cool.
Well, I was
Alec is even more handsome in real life for those who have only seen him through the screen.
I was just starting out then, and so then to get a
Yeah.
call from somebody, or an inquiry that was like, "Hey, we want to I want to talk about you. I want to learn more about you. I want to hear your story. I was like, really? Like, that's awesome.
Dude, so it's like so validating too, like little things like that. I feel like that's been big for me too, especially as an entrepreneur. It's a lot of like, there's a lot of lonely like solo times, especially starting. And you're like, I'm doing so many different things. I'm putting so much energy in, but like sometimes you're not really seeing the immediate return.
I feel like you don't see any. I don't feel like I saw any returns until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say
4 or
like
5
3
years.
years in, like that kind of thing. Yep. And then you get. I actually just had this conversation last night, like with this woman who runs a PR firm, and it was like, yeah, the 5th year is really when you start to like feel it.
Yeah,
That you
that's
start
2 years ago. Yeah,
and that's this year for me. Or I just this past September was 5 years. So like, yeah, I would say the past like year and a half, I've been like, okay, now we're playing ball. Let's go.
Absolutely.
But you don't realize. I'm actually interested to hear like from your perspective what things have changed at different like years or stages of your business, like how you've had to change your day-to-day operations, because that's one thing that I'm struggling with right now. It's like, okay, I've done all these things to get us here. I've shifted it a little bit, but I still have trouble with like completely shifting to more of like a managing people and relationships rather than doing the day-to-day,
Right.
like fulfillment.
Right. Well, that's one of the most difficult stages, in my opinion, because you're letting go of a lot, including the control and touch points that you used to have. I don't know who I heard this from, but one thing that's been helping me over the past 1.5 to 2 years be comfortable with other people taking the reins and having the primary relationship know-how and execution with our clients is if they're 80% as competent as I am. Okay. That's what I look for.
Yep.
Like, that's my threshold. Like, if they can be 80% competent or 80, and it's a little egotistical, but if they can at least measure up to me 80% of the way, then that's good enough.
Yep.
That's what you should look for.
Gotcha.
And then I guess, I don't know. It's mostly a psychological issue.
Yeah.
You know, because you have done so much. You are the one that has made this successful up until this point. And now you're having to relay all that information.
Yeah, because there's only so far you can take it on your own. Too.
Right. You're not scalable.
There's the bandwidth problem. But yeah, that's actually what I've tried to do is like I'm almost hiring more. I mean, obviously you have to hire for skill to a degree, but it's almost more like about the character and the willingness to grow into another role or advance in the career. So like the couple of people that have under me right now, I just really see that they have like drive and ambition and potential and a lot of willingness to learn, just like get their hands dirty. Like, yeah, sure, website development, sure. I mean, I'm a designer like for logos, but I could try to figure it out.
Right.
Or, I don't really have a background in sales, but I would like to put together this target list for you and at least get you like some leads. I might not be, they might not do the calls or the emails, but it's just those type of things where I'm like, okay, they're down for the cause. It's not just like, this is my role, clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
Anything wider than that purview is not me. I feel like, especially at the beginning, I need people that are going to be like understanding that, they got to wear a lot of different hats.
Well, the first few hires that you bring in have to be generalists. Because you don't have enough work for them to be specialists.
Right.
That's
true.
And then what's difficult, though, is I'm at a point where I worked with a lot of generalists in the very beginning. And now I brought in some specialists, and now I feel like the generalists are less needed. And so it's just like, do I train them and work with them and give them the opportunity to become specialists on my dime and on the company's dime, I guess?
Right.
Or do we just fire them and bring somebody else in, that can be that specialist? It's a very difficult conundrum.
That is interesting.
But it's, I try to give everybody opportunity to become something more than what they currently are.
Right.
So I think it's a difficult balance, but it's one that I'm still kind of learning myself.
Yeah.
And I think that, keep up with the generalists for now, though. Like, find those people that are hungry. That's one thing that I can say that does separate my team members from, I would say, a lot of companies, at least the bigger ones, is that they are hungry. You know what I mean? And that I can depend on them to work like 2 hours late.
Right.
You know, just to get their work done so that our clients can succeed. And I think I've done a decent job of instilling in them that it's not about me. It's not about you. This is about the businesses and the people that we're trying to help. Because we may have, I think we're at 9 employees right now with what we've got going on. But this business that we're helping, they have 20 employees.
Right.
So think about all the people that you're going to work for right now. You know, to make sure that they all got that bread to go home with.
Yeah, heard that. Wish I didn't hear that, but I just heard that.
But I just heard that, sir.
But I just heard that. No, that's interesting. Yeah, I like the, and the thing is, there have been certain projects where it's like, oh, we only have somewhat of generalists on board where, you know, you do need a specific specialist to hire out as like a one-off that's really good at this specific type of like web build out or this specific type of design. So I could see how like later on when you're having bigger projects, bigger budgets, like bigger implications where it's like, yes, this person could do a decent job, but you probably should hire a specialist, you know.
One of the most difficult things that I also did was that I always brought on clients that required generalists.
Okay.
And now we were just having this conversation. One of the things that I think that you should start doing is niching down a little bit, because I tried to resist that for so long. I was like, why? If I can help all these people, why wouldn't I?
Right.
And it's just like, oh, that's right. I'm not just here to help people. I am also here to like create a successful business that's replicable, that I can plug people into, and they don't have to spend 7 months learning about it. They can do it in 3 weeks and continue to bring the mission and the business forward as a successful business. So I think that if you can niche down quickly.
I need to.
Well, it sounds like you constantly kind of already are.
Yeah. So the restaurant brands are definitely a niche that we're getting pretty good at, pretty confident in, and to your point, it's a bit of like a rinse and repeat type of thing right now. We're also in the floral industry, which we kind of like fell into because one of our initial clients, probably been with us like 3 out of the 5 years, is a wholesale florist, and through doing work with them and content creation, we met so many florists and event planners and event designers. So we kind of like had a little pocket in that industry as well. So totally dissimilar industries, not like overlapping really, but they all, I mean, those are like our 2 niches. And then we have just a ton of random clients, to be honest. And we love you if you're listening.
Yeah.
But
we do love you.
Yes. But I mean, getting started, that was like, not that, I mean, to a degree, you're desperate when you're getting started, right? Like anybody that would like to hire you for your services, if it makes sense. Like, I don't care if they're a pet grooming place, an insurance place, like, you know, we'll definitely take you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean,
you're going to like the way you look.
Yeah, you're going to like the way you look.
They're having fun out there.
I know. That's what I'm texting them about, so I apologize.
Oh, I'm fine.
I can't. I
just want to join the party.
Yeah. You're going to like the way you look. Yeah, it's... I mean, it was so desperate for money for so long.
Yeah.
But like, I think like the first 2 years of business.
And what I noticed is like people can tell. Like if you go into a meeting and you sell yourself short, it's like so obvious.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn that for a while, but I was definitely selling myself short. Probably still am to a degree, because it's like, okay, we're kind of undercutting like the bigger agencies, obviously.
Well, that's what's key.
Yeah, which is nice. You have to do.
I think it's actually a strategic place to be.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I think I was, we were like way too low initially, just because we didn't know our value or worth, or, have like a significant portfolio.
I've been having thoughts about that though. I don't think that at that period of time we were undervaluing ourselves. I think we were perfectly.
What we were worth. Yeah.
That's 100% what we were worth.
That's true.
Because like
they're taking a chance at you.
Yeah, they're taking a chance. Like we're getting paid to learn.
That's
you know, and like we're saying we can get it done.
Yeah.
So like I would say that we're getting paid a minimum wage to learn. Yep. Which is like very acceptable. Most people are paying to go to college, right?
That's
and
true.
like do all that shit. So if we can get paid a small amount of money to learn, and to not just learn how to do the skill that they're hiring us to do, but then to also learn how to run a business or conduct yourself or have a proper conversation or how to sell, get all of those important lessons, like that's a big difference maker.
That is true.
So that's why I think I always looking back, I'm like, oh, I completely undervalued myself.
Yeah.
You know, from the perspective you're at right now, and then you
Right.
know you can bring people, it seems that way. But at the time, you didn't have all
You
the
weren't
info.
able to, yeah.
You didn't have all the knowledge, all the experience.
I was definitely, one thing I struggled with was like ROI for business owners in marketing, because marketing is such like a esoteric, especially like branding, logo
Branding,
stuff, when they're like, okay, so what's it going to lead to dollars wise? Luckily now, which we got to talk
more money.
just a lot more. You're gonna like it. We're gonna like it.
Okay, you've sold me.
It's not gonna be on the balance sheet. You're gonna like the way it looks. It's got to count for something. But what was I gonna say? We were talking about this on the phone the other day. But yeah, luckily now we're doing, specifically with like email marketing campaigns, there's a lot of good software that shows like immediate attributable sales to specific campaigns. Obviously all like the click-throughs and stuff and what it,
Rehash that again. Tell me about the success that you've been having with that.
Yeah, so as far as specifically with restaurant brands, it's been great because it integrates with their POS system, whether it's Square, Toast, those are kind of like the two main players right now. So we integrate with that, and then you're able to see attributable sales from email marketing and text marketing, an exact dollar amount of like, okay, they ordered through this third-party app, or they ordered through the website, whatever it is, or Toast. And then, I mean, it just helps justify your spend immediately. It's like, okay, you made $12,000 from this one email blast.
Right.
And we send that out 5 or 6 times a month. It's like a no-brainer.
Right.
And then we also obviously do like A/B testing, so you can see like, oh, for some reason this subject line did 4K, this one did 10, so let's double down on this one, whatever. But it just helps because even with social, I mean, there's some good software now too that can show you some stuff on social, but a lot of the social stuff is like vanity metrics for a while. It's like, yeah, obviously likes and engagements and shares are great, but for business owners that don't really live in that space, they're kind of like, yeah, that's great, but why are we paying you this fee what's it leading to in hard dollars and cents? So, but I think the space is getting better at having like avenues to showcase that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just in the general progress of the industry, I think that the older people are also being phased out a little bit. You know, I doubt any of the super old school individuals made it through 2020.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
That had to be the people who are scrappy and innovative.
Yeah.
Saw value in social media and likely used it to make sales for, at-home delivery at the time.
Right.
But I think they're slowly being phased out. And then it's just so fantastic that you've been able to prove that ROI with the email marketing stuff.
Yep.
Very helpful there, because when I was involved with restaurants, I only had like social media, as the kind of, this is totally helping your business, you know what I mean? And like, we know that when we look at a restaurant online or on Instagram and we see that they have 381 likes on a post, you're like, oh, this place has a cult following. Like, I think I should probably check it out.
Right.
They don't think like that. The owners don't think like that. So
exactly.
It's hard to convince them that it's hard to demonstrate what clout is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the clout thing is big too with a lot of the brands that I've been working with. We definitely dove in this past like 2 years into like the I wouldn't say like influencer side specifically, but like creators in general, just creative people that we think are doing a good job and are genuine with their like voice. So we don't ever want it to come off gimmicky when we partner with those type of people. Like, oh, we love this pizza. Take a bite. Like, obviously, it's super. Or someone that is just constantly doing these brand deals like every day. It's like, okay, how much do you actually, you know what I mean? Like, I think consumers, especially our generation, we're pretty good at like sifting through what's legit and what is phony or like fake. So yeah, we're very selective with like who we partner with what brand, but if you do it right, then it can be a huge success. And you obviously like leverage their platform as well, so you get a bunch of new eyes on your product. So
right now, when you're getting into business with these restaurants, are you hard selling them when you're going in there, or are they usually looking for something like this?
They're generally looking for something like this, but actually the new thing that I've been looking at is like people that that think they need a marketing like manager, and then we kind of swoop in and are like, okay, we can provide similar services, but we also have this team that can help you with provide these other resources as well. But yeah, usually it's someone that's like looking for like either a small marketing team, a marketing executive. And then, I mean, thankfully, like we're lucky that we've had some good referrals in that industry as well. And that industry, people do move around a lot.
Right.
Like, unless you're like embedded to the core of the C-level guys or,
right.
A lot of like the chefs move around, a lot of the operations people move around. It's like a few years here, a few years there. So a couple of times that's happened where we've been like plugged with someone who we worked with at a previous spot, and then they brought us like, oh, these are the guys you got to use their marketing for. So been lucky. I mean, that's like a huge thing, I would say, for people like starting out is like, I also would think, oh, we only have X number of clients, like starting like, oh, we only have 4 clients, like we need more and more and more. And it's like, if I could go back, I would be like, just do these 4 incredibly well.
Yeah.
And then those will naturally just lead to more, you know?
Well, both of us have been pretty much referral-based agencies. Me up until like the past 5 months, but you have been through and through.
Yes, pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, we've done like a few things here and there with some people with like sales development, but just never. And I'd actually like to really do like a full program that's devoted to it. But candidly, right now, we can't offer a very competitive sales salary to someone. So it would be very much like you eat what you kill type of deal, where it's like, yeah, we'll give you some money if you set up qualified meetings. We'll give you some money if you hit like checkpoints every month. And then we can offer you a fat commission if it actually leads to revenue. But like, if we can't just pay you to just make a target list, like you actually got to go hustle.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you right now, man,
the type of people you need.
We've got the guy that I hired right now. We offer him like a very low base salary.
Yeah.
And then he gets 10% of what comes in.
Hell yeah.
That's it. And like a lot of times, because I went through like another agency to help me find this guy, Corey. I keep saying like he's some fucking mystical entity.
He who must not be named.
He who shall not be named.
Shout out Corey.
Yeah, shout out to Corey. I mean, he's the one that's really helped me grow my business over the past like 4 months here.
Awesome.
The agency that they come from, it's like very normal for them to just get paid like 10% straight up.
Mm-hmm.
But because mine was being based off of residuals over time and not one straight. He wasn't going in and selling 18K at a time. He was selling, 18K over 6 months.
Okay.
And so he normally where they'd get 10%, they get to walk away with $1,800. Great, that's a great sell. You make 5 of those a month, 6 of those a month, then you're good to go. But he was willing to work on this on more of like that retainer and receive residuals over time so that he gets 10% of them every month. So it's like it's a little smaller in the beginning, but then it builds up rather quickly, and then you stay. Yeah, it compounds quickly, and then you hold that for quite some time as well.
Yeah, and that's traditionally, I think that's a good structure too, just as far as like living wise, because traditionally that's the one difficult thing with sales is it's like ebbs and flows. Like you have a month where you're just caking it, and then all of a sudden it dries up, and you're like, okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely would like to, again, now that it's, not that we've packaged things, but we do have like a bit of a formula in those 2 spaces where it's not as much, obviously when you bring on a client, like the initial getting things going, like onboarding and just learning their brand and the people associated, like first couple months, obviously a lot of work, but I think we're able to take on more now. Obviously than previously, so I'm ready for some sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to find a Corey.
Well, that's the thing is that I did the sales for the first month though, and it was a month and a half-ish, and it was fucking draining because it was 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. of running the business, and then 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. of doing sales.
Yep.
And then from 6 to midnight of like running the business again and catching up on admin tasks. So like it was a little tough, but I mean, like anybody who's in our position, like we don't mind working hard for a little bit and then pushing it off onto somebody.
Yeah.
I
And it does feel,
but
the sales gig though, I mean, it is rough. Like you face rejection a lot, but it does make you hardened. And it also, when you do land something, there's like no better feeling. Like I remember landing a deal in like a hotel lobby, probably like a year and a half in, that was like a significant deal for me. And I was like actually yelling.
yeah.
I was like, let's fucking go. They're like, yeah. They're like, sir, you aren't even staying at this hotel. We know you're here for the Wi-Fi and Starbucks. Get the fuck out. It's like, yeah. So, but yeah, I remember that vividly. And like, obviously, I come from somewhat of a sales background. Like my first job was like account executive, and we would do cold calling and like selling into different stuff. And I mean, those felt good, but when it's like selfishly, when it's for yourself, and it's like,
it's different.
You know, you're going to, yeah, it's just
When you get to see 50% of that or more.
invigorating.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
There was a moment I was, I think, 15 days into running my own advertising, like for the business, when I just started to scale. And I was going through those like rough, 16, 18-hour days. But I had made 10 sales in 10 days. And then on the 10th day, after just making a sale, yeah, well, right, I got a call from one of the guys that we had brought on 10 days prior who was struggling. And we had gotten to a point where like he really wanted to move forward with us, but he was like, he's a military man, he's got great character. He didn't want to not pay the other agency that was failing him, by the way, completely failing him. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to not pay them, and he couldn't afford to pay them and us. So I said, you don't even have the money to pay them, so I don't know where this is coming from. Like, you should just move on. But here's what I'll do for you. I will make it so that if we don't get the money that you need in order to pay them in 15 days, that I will pay it for you.
Wow.
And he goes, well, that's a different type of deal. I'm going to go ahead and take that.
Yeah.
So he gave me the money for our service agreement. But then on that 10th day, I got a call from him saying, hey, man, we got enough money. You absolutely crush it. We're going to be able to make that payment and pay you. And so you don't have to worry about handing me the cash over. And I was just like, fucking fantastic. I hung up the phone. So I just made a sale, just got that from him, and I started crying. I really did, dude. I was I broke down, just like feeling like I had finally broken through, because it was 5 years of lessons. I felt like 5 years of hard lessons and hard work, and then to make that much money in such a short period of time, and then
so validating.
Yeah, and then to have him tell me like, "Hey, we're gonna be all right. Like everything's gonna be good." I was just like, "This is an emotional fucking moment."
That's huge.
Very
also the confidence though to say that.
Yeah.
That takes balls. And I will definitely give you credit. I feel like you're very good at, how do I put it? Like, it's not that you're guaranteeing things, but to a degree, like, and it's not like manifesting either, because that sounds so like high in the sky.
I'm kind of,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, you put it out there and then you find a way to make it happen, is I guess the way. It's like, you know that it is attainable. So like, why wouldn't you make it happen?
Yeah.
Which, but it does take balls to like say something like that and be like, yeah, we're going to get it done.
I wouldn't
regardless.
normally say that. I wouldn't normally say that, but something about this guy felt right, and like he really deserved it.
And then it worked out. So yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it's interesting because sometimes when I come up against I used to hate the idea of being a salesman, but then I realized that like people need to be convinced of things. They need to be persuaded. So it is my job to get them to take the steps and to make the decisions that they need to better themselves.
That reminds me of like also something we initially bonded over was the love for Mad Men.
Yeah,
and that reminds me of like a quote from that of like basically people don't know what they want. Mm-hmm. You have to tell them and show them what they want.
And people are generally insecure and they don't know they just don't know anything.
Yeah,
stupid.
We're
peasants,
so
dude.
Smart. For all you listeners,
you guys fucking can suck it, dude. We're so smart in this place.
Yeah,
there's so much intelligence just abounding in here.
We're also sharing how do you pronounce it?
Marabou.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's Marabou. I don't know. They're just like a half a block away from me.
Double A.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Okay, so let's finish up this conversation on you niching down a little bit. So I think this is the route you should probably go, right? Like restaurants. I mean, you seem to have a pretty foolproof formula.
Yes. And we have been looking at a few like small city markets
Yeah.
in the Northeast, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Portland, Maine, both like good foodie towns with a lot of restaurants, small businesses that are in our range.
Yep.
Like maybe they have a few different locations, they're successful, but they're not national brands. They're like regional brands basically. And a lot of them have some sort of marketing presence. Like they may have an okay website. They're doing like a little bit of social or whatever, but they're definitely not leveraging it to the point that they should. But at least there's an understanding that like they know they need to be.
Right.
So that's another big thing is like for a while I feel like sometimes we were barking up the wrong tree, like trying to sell people that were pretty much unsellable.
Right.
It's like, you know, if you don't even think that there's a need there, it's kind of, you know, a fool's errand to keep hammering them on it. Like
Right.
you can try to show them, bring them to water.
Yeah.
But if they're not, they got to drink it.
They gotta fucking drink it, dude. They gotta pour.
That was a little
cup.
phrase I thought of myself this morning.
That's impressive.
Yeah. You can lead a horse there
But
to the water.
to the water. Oh, okay.
But unless they want to drink it, I mean, you can't.
Yeah, there's
force
just
them.
nothing. That's a freaking brilliant.
Yeah, I got to
Write that
figure
down.
out a way to.
Yeah, there's a
Cool.
better way to deliver it. I know it's there.
If there's a horse, yeah, we'll work on it.
We'll work on it. Sounds good.
Horse and water.
So it seems like I think because one of the things that I was going to tell you when we were speaking on the phone yesterday that I wanted to get to today was that one of the biggest decisions that I ever made was to niche down. And I tried to fight it, but eventually it came through. It made its debut. And the lessons that I've learned from that is, one, develop SOPs. You have to be able to make sure that everything that you're teaching or everything that you need to relay to somebody else to run that portion of the business, it needs to be written down. And they need to be able to follow it to a T.
Right.
Because as you continue to grow, you're going to get those specialized individuals. Those specialized individuals want steps to follow. They
Right.
want a blueprint to reside in. They want a blueprint to follow and to understand. And they can innovate from there. And that's where you might get lucky and hire an entrepreneur where they can take your blueprint and make it better, but they wouldn't be able to come up with an entire system on their own. You've got to
Right.
create that
You gotta
system
give
for
the
them.
initial algorithm for
Right.
them, and then they can branch off of it.
Exactly. So getting down those SOPs, that would have saved me a lot of headaches and would have taken I would have been able to get rid of my 18-hour days sooner if I would have done that at the beginning.
It's a good
Before
step.
I started
Yeah.
to scale. And some of them you're not going to be able to figure out, like some of those pain points and issues and SOPs, you're not going to be able to figure out until you go through trouble with them and you expose the weaknesses.
Right.
But if you go in with a system already, then you're just like, you're putting small
Oh, we
tears
just
in it.
Add this
Yeah.
into that, like a flow chart. It's
Exactly.
Like, we'll just add this component of it, and then if this happens,
Right.
yeah.
You're
Okay.
you're creating small tears. You're not breaking the entire system.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like the difference between going in and working out and doing small muscle tears to build your muscle compared to ripping off your fucking Achilles tendon. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yep.
it's a big difference maker. So there's
Yeah,
that.
it's a
See if you can find out a guarantee. If you can figure out a guarantee
That's
for
what
your
I need.
offer, the offer is so important, especially when you're advertising yourself. I've learned this from some of the advertisers that I've been working with, that like that's what gets people to not become a client, but to at least convert, get their information down, and have a meeting with you.
There's some sort of call to action.
Call to action, but one that makes them feel like the service is guaranteed.
Final.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yep.
Like, could you guarantee the same $12,000 per email to every client, or like maybe you can guarantee a 10x return, in the first 60 days?
But
Can you do that with somebody who doesn't already have an email list, or does it have to be somebody
has
or
established
right,
20K subscribers or
right, or
whatever,
can you make it so that your offer is curtailed and the message that you're delivering, the advertising that you're delivering, is saying, "Do you currently work with Toast? Have 20,000 email subscribers? Well, if so, then we can do this, that, and the other for
We're
you."
your guy.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
doing that, and then be prepared to hire quickly.
Yeah.
But strategically.
Yeah, so that's almost what is making me, I wouldn't say like gun shy, but I always feel like I need to preemptively get things set up.
You do.
Yeah. So that's
It
that's
took-
kind of the next phase, because I just know, okay, if I do all this, and then it's like, be careful what you wish for to a degree. It's like, okay, now we have all this demand. How are we going to fulfill this? Because that has happened on a smaller scale where it's like, it wasn't anything egregious because I could pull, like you're saying, those long days and like we'll make it work.
Right.
But that's only sustainable for so long. Like I found myself getting burnt out, and like lately I have noticed that too. I mean, I'm getting better at delegating and relinquishing control for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's tempting to dive back in sometimes when you. So I also am working on like establishing boundaries, because there's hopefully no clients are listening that they think it's them, but there's, certain clients just need a little more hand holding, and you have to be firm though of like, this is the relationship that we have. This is the service we're providing. If you'd like a more in-depth service that's like a daily back-to-back,
right,
it's going to be more money.
Right.
It's going to be more money.
It's going to be more money. Yeah, no, I have a few clients like those, and every once in a while I'll throw them a bone, and I'd be like, let's have a conversation. Let's dive deeper in here. I'm not going to charge you extra. I don't do that for any of my grandfather clients. The ones that have been there with me for 5 years, they get me when I can get them, right? Yeah, like they've stuck with me. I've worked hard for them. They've seen like they will always have that. I believe I'm very loyal. Okay. But when new clients come on and they're like demanding my attention specifically, despite the fact that they've never really even talked to me, I'm like, no. Right. Especially if they're demanding about it. Like, no, fuck off.
It is all about the tact. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's like
one thing.
Maverick or Hannah can handle this. They don't need me. If they need something from me, they can reach out to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to be here and babysit it's difficult though, because from their perspective, I have empathy, because from their perspective, they don't have a full understanding of everything that we're doing. Right. And all they care about is like getting more sales. And it's just like, yeah, we're going to get that to you, but this is the process. Chill the fuck out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I have empathy, but at the same time, like, let my people handle you.
Yep. No, I think that's important about the loyalty component too, because I feel the same way. Like, the people that initially gave me a shot, and it was like a significant shot, I'll never forget that. And they're always like, forever have been grandfathered in on rates. Like little rate increases, but it's just like, part of business every year. But by and large, same type of deal. It's like, they can do no wrong in my eyes, because they've always held it down for me. The one thing that's difficult, though, is like when I was starting, at least one of my big calling cards, or like unique selling points, I guess you could say, was my accessibility.
Right.
And also being in the city around a lot of these businesses, it was like, I'll just come directly there. I'll be there. Like, if I have a handful of clients, I can scale that where like every day I'm bouncing around seeing one of them,
right,
seeing two of them. But now it's like, I can't do that.
Right.
I can't be everywhere. So some of them are like used to that. Right. And so it's like, how do you transition and be like, this is, we're still providing the same, we're actually providing much more value now. But it's like a different dynamic. So I'm trying to put people in place where there's still face-to-face communication, and just like introducing them to new reps and stuff. But
I would even try to get away from that.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're taking away the amount of time that those people can dedicate to actually doing the work.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want... You can ask your clients this too when you transition them out and be like, "Hey, like, I'm introducing you to this person." It doesn't need to be blunt, but like, make an introduction, let them get to know them, and then over time, just like slowly phase it out a little bit. And if at any point they call it out, be like, "Hey, would you rather me be talking to you, or do you want me to do the work?"
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Which one do you want us like making you money, or do you want us talking to
just
you?
Schmoozing.
And then and at this point, we're taking money out of your pocket because you could be dedicating your time to something better too.
It is interesting. I've noticed a lot of the bigger clients, like, we have a monthly recap, super brief, and then it's just like, all right, keep doing your thing.
Yep.
They trust you. As long as you're producing, they're not hitting you up every day.
Right.
Usually it is like the smaller tier clients where there's a little thinner budget.
Right.
That's not like a hard rule, because there are people that will let you just...
Right.
Well,
but I have people that have a better relationship with money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
They're not as afraid, and that's one of the most difficult things that I see, and I'm sure you see it with your clients too, is that there's just a lot of people that have a poor mentality, and it affects every facet of their business. And it's I'm getting to a point now where if I see that, I almost want to fire them right away. Like, I want to get rid of them, because I'm like, you're going to be fucking with my energy.
Yes.
You're going to be fucking with my teammates' energy.
Yeah.
And you're going to be sucking everybody dry because you can't seem to break through. It's difficult because I want to help them.
Breakthrough marketing.
Yeah, breakthrough marketing. Plugged.
That's subliminal messages.
Yeah, seriously.
No, but that is true. It's and you can see the patterns. It's almost like there's... obviously everyone's their own person. You know, everyone's a snowflake as far as everyone's different.
Pussies.
But no, I would say you know, there's a lot of patterns where you can see like either the persona or the just like the type of business that, oh, I've seen this before. This is the type of attention they're going to require. This is the type of like things that are going to come up, things that may be not a waste of time, but, you know, you're better spent elsewhere. So if you can address that immediately and either nip it in the bud or just stay away from it. Like I've definitely stayed away from some clients recently where it's like, in the past, I would have been thrilled that this like came across, be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And now it's like, yeah, it would be some more money, but it's not worth the headache.
Right.
Every single couple weeks having to deal with like a fire that's not really a fire.
Right.
But I think I do need to get better about setting better boundaries and expectations.
What's good is that when you do that, it'll also teach you to never be that annoying client to other people.
Yeah.
It'll teach you, and when I say annoying client to other people, it just means to not be so reactive.
Yes.
And to be more thought out,
right.
precise, calculated. When you're able to recognize that in other people, for some reason, it just creates a more conscious understanding to make sure that you're not that person, because you're going to put other people into that fight or flight.
Right.
And it's going to create a negative feedback loop that you're not going to be able to contain.
It's so true.
So I was just who was I telling this to the other day? It was another business owner that I was talking to about, because they were dealing with disgruntled employees that were just assholes. They were asshole employees. Dealing with vendors coming from every which direction, also dealing with personal issues. And I said, you need to be an alchemist. And she's like, what the hell do you mean?
So you are into manifesting?
Yeah. I'm a big into manifestation. But I'm just like, everybody's going to throw negativity at you. You need to be able to turn that lead into gold. Like you need to be able to make sure that you stay even keel and that the buck stops where you are. Because if you continue to take that and perpetuate it and send it off to other people, it's just going to make the world a more terrible place.
True.
But if you can stop that negative energy and just be even keel and make sure that when somebody feeds you negativity, that you're using that as either motivation or you're just shutting it down.
Right.
And then you're approaching it from a more wholesome, relaxed, and
here's how we're going to address it. Let's move forward from this.
Exactly.
Instead of like engaging with it. Like, yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Totally crazy.
In addition to not passing that on to anybody else, you're helping that settle their chi and like center their energy and get them to come back down to reality. I shouldn't say down to reality, up to a higher vibrational level, so they're not living in that fear state of mind, and instead they're more at least neutral.
Right.
At least neutral.
Yeah, because you're feeding into that anxiety. If you you can hear them out, but then it's flipping the script on that. Like, okay, so what are we going to do from here? How are we going to turn this into a positive? I like that. That's a good point.
But I am big into manifestation. Are you?
I am. I was even more into it, like starting the business, and I think I do need to get back into it. But
it's important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely very in tune with my thoughts, very intentional with like my thoughts and my energy and what I consume. I think that that's actually what I've shifted to recently, is like being, rather than, I would say initially it was like, okay, what am I going to create or build or manifest in my life? Like, is it new business? Is it like travel? Is it looking better? Is it like feeling better? Or is it health? Whatever it is, like relationships. And now it's more like, okay, what am I taking in? Like, what am I consuming? What am I, like, I'm still creating and building, but when they're like, I'm trying to think of a way to put this out there. Like, what situations am I putting myself in? Is it going to be good energy? What things am I watching, listening to? Is it going to be good energy? Because I'm very sensitive to those things, and it can throw me, like, I can go down a rabbit hole for sure, for better or worse. Like, if I get into something, I'll go 110% into it. But that can be good or bad, you know? And I found myself, like, during COVID specifically, like, there were a couple times where I just found myself down, like, wormholes online of, like, you know, crazy stuff. And I'm just like, what is this doing? Like, what is this bringing value? Is this bringing any value to my life? Or is it just, like, am I going a little manic here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, on the positive side, I do have the capacity to, like, for instance, like, I randomly got into running, and then I'm like, I fucking fucking love running. I'm going to run every day. Like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Like learn all about running, learn all about, like get all the gear, blah, 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 sign up. So it can be good, but it can also be detrimental if you're allowing like negative things in your life too. So long way of saying, yes, I like manifesting.
Yeah.
As well.
I spend a lot of time manifesting from... I have a very esoteric approach to life and to my business, where I am very, very focused, but I'm also, how do I say this? I believe in working hard to a certain extent, but I also believe in being like water and flowing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a fucking massive river that's running, but if I come up against a fucking land bridge or I come up against a dam, then I'm just going to let it go around. I'm going to let my path reveal itself to me. So the best way that I've been able to deal with the trials and tribulations of life and the challenges and the roadblocks is I am 100% confident in what the outcome is towards the end of my life. I know exactly what it's going to look like. So I don't care how the fuck I get there.
Right.
I don't care because I know that everything is going to lead up to that moment.
Yeah.
So I've set my intention. I've set the manifestation. I've envisioned my future when I'm 50 and when I'm 80. So I don't give a fuck how I get there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I know that it's going to be a fucking wild-ass ride. Yeah. But if there's ups and then there's those troughs, those downs, that it doesn't matter. I'm going to enjoy every moment of it because I know that it's setting me up for something in the future. And when you live in that state of mind of just general optimism, courage, and understanding, you're existing in a higher plane of higher plane of existence. You're in a different frequency, and then you are going to automatically attract the right people to you.
That's true. I have noticed that too. Is like what you put out, you definitely get in return. If I'm like vibrating at a high energy, I'm putting out good energy. I'm reaching out like with gratitude to people. Like it does come back, and you just start to be around the right people that have similar interests, and you can help each other out. I think that analogy was great about the like river, like you come and hit a rock, like the ability to be adaptable or flexible to like, okay, this wasn't exactly, because that's what I used to get hung up on a bit, was like I said I would do this by this time and like now I didn't, so is that a failure? And it's like, no, you just like pivot.
Are those mostly revenue goals?
We're not supposed to say that out loud. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, hard things like that where it's like a numeric thing. Like,
yeah. I only sometimes do that, by the way. So I said what I do is I pick a revenue goal and I don't put a time limit on it. I just know that I need to work to get to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's probably more beneficial to just have not like a general, you want a specific goal to a degree, but have it be focused on the actual like message rather than the numeric side. But I love that. I like keep thinking about that analogy. Yeah. Because you have to be flexible.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. Yeah. I think it's just that you have to realize that like your entire existence, you don't have any control over it. You know, you can make decisions at certain points, but like you can, how do I say this? You set yourself up for the right situations through your subconscious. Yep. So as long as you are right in your heart and in your soul, everything will be revealed to you, including the answers to your problems and challenges, and to your revenue goals, and to your relationship issues, and like whatever else. Like keep your heart right, keep your energy high, and all will be revealed to you. Yeah, I think it's an important distinction. One thing that I have been good at is like trying to. I've never wanted to like force something or have it be contrived. Like if it doesn't feel right, I'm out. And I don't really, sometimes there's not even a great explanation from like a practical sense. Even like in certain social situations, if I'm just like, oh, I'm super uneasy, like this is giving me a weird vibe, like I'm out, like I'm bouncing. And like sometimes that's been like a weird, like, you know, my friends be like, dude, what's going on? And then not every time, but like enough times where I'm like super trusting of my gut now, it's like, oh, later that night, this terrible thing happened. And it's like it's like sketchy. But that's happened a handful of times where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be out of here. Like this is giving me kind of, I don't know. And you seem like a weirdo to your friends, but that's such an important thing. It's such an important thing what you're doing. And I've done that before. I think like the big thing, I noticed that like when I was a kid too, like if something was wrong or something, like someone was doing something that was off, like I was never
on the group think or like consensus side. I would just like kind of call it out.
Yeah.
And that made for super uncomfortable situations, but it also has led to a lot of great things too.
Okay.
But I just never knew any other way. I would just be, you know, you just notice something and you kind of air it out.
Most people really reject that intuition, and they just be like, "Oh, I'm just that's just me thinking weird," you know. But I
no, it's strong. It's strong enough where you're like it's like almost like compelled. Like obviously, I have to, or else something's wrong here.
Well, there have been times in relationships, business and personal, where I'll meet somebody and I'll just already know what's going to happen 6 and 12 months down the line, and I will not only think it, but sometimes I will create an emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
Like I will feel it happening before it happens.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shit, this is going to be coming, and then sure enough, it will happen. And it's super interesting because I'm wondering, am I manifesting that, or is my intuition the one
Just
that
right.
is like, and
and
I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're just right.
Yeah,
you know? And most people reject that, like that feeling, and then they don't reinforce it after it happens. They'll be like, oh, that's a crazy coincidence, instead of being like,
no,
I was right about that.
Right.
And so the more that and this is why your intuition is so good, is because you've continually reinforced that throughout your entire life, which is something that I've done as well, and I value it so much because now I don't have to think.
Right.
I just know.
You know that, yeah, exactly. And the coincidences thing is something interesting. I used to actually have this running Google Doc that I came to learn that it's the moments are actually called meaningful coincidences, but I would have. I still have it, this running Google Doc that's like, anytime there's, for an example, like, you know, say we mention a song in here and then we go hop in your car and it's the first song playing. Okay, that's kind of weird. Then we get to the coffee shop, it's playing again, and then, you know, you go home and Nicole's like, have you heard this song, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, there's just like a lot, or then you see a poster that random's like, do you want a poster of this band? We just found it. Like, there's moments like that, and they have happened. I mean, they happen to everybody, but they were happening at such like a rapid clip in my life where things were syncing up. That's what I like called it. Like sync up was like the name of the doc. But I noticed that like the more that I noticed it, the more it was happening. And it just was like almost like I always took it as kind of like a nod, like, all right, you like, no matter what's going on, like, you're on the right track. It was kind of like a little like nudge, but it felt like you're in like a video game and someone's just like fucking with you because it'd be that egregious. But yeah, some of them are just like, they're too statistically impossible to think that there's not like something else going on.
What if it's like Interstellar and somebody's trying to communicate with you?
Yeah, right.
You know, through the fifth and sixth dimension.
Yeah, my wall is just like all these codes, like 4-1 at 11:44.
Well, this is interesting because me and you both saw a lot of the bullshit that was happening with COVID and over like the past, 3 years now. It's interesting that you were recognizing your ability to recognize patterns is higher than what most people's are, and maybe other people do recognize it, but they don't assign any meaning to it.
Right.
You know,
and it's just I think that's a good point. It's also a convenience thing of people, by and large. Like, it's much easier to go along with norms, right? And it's much easier, especially when they start to, take away things.
Right.
And without getting too political, but yeah, I mean, they make it pretty hard for you not to conform to a degree. So, depending on where you are. But I think holding strong in those situations too, like to your point, just continually reinforces, like, because then you look back and you're like, not I told you so, but to a degree you're like, okay, I stuck to my moral compass. It felt wrong. I didn't do X, Y, and Z, and now look, like, I'm grateful for it that I didn't.
Right. Yeah, me and you are batting 1,000 right now. We're up like 500 to 1.
Yeah, the odds. Yeah, we're doing pretty well.
We're doing pretty well in life. 2 white guys just absolutely crushing it, dude.
Clip that, producer. Take that out. God damn, we were doing so good.
Had to get a little saucy with it.
Yeah, no, but it is true though. Like, certain moments reveal like true colors too. I've noticed about a lot of like whether it's peers or like working with brands or whatever, there's moments where it's like, okay, you have a chance right now to do the right thing. That's like the tricky thing, though. I will say, like, a lot of people think that they're doing what they believe to be.
It's because they're NPCs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Anybody that's doing something wrong and thinks that they're doing it right, they're just
they haven't
they're
haven't
NPCs.
done the research.
They're great repeaters, is what they are. They don't have any original ideas, and they don't draw any original conclusions.
And it's hard to change. It's like,
Programming.
Has to be,
It's hard to change their programming.
Yeah, someone has to be willing. But yeah,
so many people
so
many people are just too comfortable.
Yes.
And so they're not willing to break their mold. They're not willing to see the patterns that exist because it would continue to break their reality. But I feel like me and you and most entrepreneurs' paths is to do nothing but continually shatter your reality so that you can better adapt to what's coming your way.
Yeah.
So you're very open, and it doesn't mean that you're a hardcore conspiracy theorist or you're set in your ways that you have to be a contrarian and everything that the mainstream media says is wrong. It's just like, no, you can just like see patterns throughout everything.
Right.
Be able to draw your own conclusions from them.
Exactly.
And it feels lonely at times, but there are a lot of people that agree with you.
Yeah. Sometimes it's exhausting, but I think it's worthwhile. And it's the same thing with like how I've always felt. Like I feel like I've always worn my heart on my sleeve to a degree, which again can be detrimental or great, but it's exhausting, but I'd rather have those like fluctuations than just like a numbness, which is what I was feeling when I was actually working my initial job. It was like I didn't have time to look into anything other than that specific job. I didn't have time to do anything that I actually enjoyed, things that were making me better in my personal life.
You broke the programming.
Yes, I did. Smashed it. Matrix mode.
Mode.
Yeah, I think it's obviously more difficult. But I'm just thinking of. I could go a lot of different ways right now.
You can go whatever way you want, man. But let's. I
will say the comfortable thing I wanted to get back to, because I think there is a shift now starting to happen that people want to put themselves, at least maybe it's just like the peer group that we put ourselves around, but I have noticed that people are like looking for situations that are difficult that are going to make them better. Like for a while I feel like things got so cushy, and I mean things are so comfortable in our world where we can have we don't have to leave a room to get food, entertainment, whatever you want. Like there's no reason to leave. So in the past, obviously our ancestors and even like our recent generations, like they had to go out and do really difficult things and get through really difficult times. And honestly, like we've seen some wild shit in our life, and we've seen some wild, terrible moments in history. But as far as like our day to day, we haven't really dealt with all that much as far as like going out and doing like hard physical labor or, so we're like, for a while I felt like our society was creating problems where there really aren't any.
Oh, 100%.
When you look at history, it's like these things are not at all significant.
No. They're
little meaningless, trivial things every day.
Well, a bored mind can create all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why I think that like there's such high levels of anxiety and depression, is because one, people just generally aren't finding meaning to life anymore because everything is so fucking comfortable, and primarily they have too much time to think. Yeah, they have too much time to think though, and they just like there is no challenges. They're not really overcoming anything. There is no survival. Right. It's literally just like kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's entrepreneurship though. Is like we talked about it before, but like when you land a deal or like whatever it is, when you find someone when you really help a business get to that next level and you see them have success, or you see them get featured in a news article and you're like, let's go, like it makes those difficult times all worth it. And I like try to remind myself of that when I'm having a difficult stretch, is like remind yourself of those moments. Honestly, it's like golf, dude. Like one good shot, like a great approach shot, or like a sick sand bunker shot where you like stick it with a couple inches from the pin. Like you could have a terrible round, but you're gonna remember that shot and be like, all right, we're going back.
Right.
Like that's how entrepreneurship feels to a degree. Like you can get beat down, but it doesn't matter if 100 people say no. Like when you get the yes, you're golden.
Yeah.
But you just got to go through the 100 no's.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people aren't really trying to deal with.
Because a lot of people are fucking pussies, dude. Like,
Exactly.
they really are.
Well said.
Thank you. Got
Alex words, not mine.
Got it out of the encyclopedia and the dictionary.
Hold on, I got to take a picture of this cool ass
Yeah.
studio.
Go for it.
We are in a cool studio right now.
And then,
What is it? Pouch 6?
yep, pouch 6.
Vibes. Say what's up, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sweet.
Well,
Just
let's
need to flick up real quick.
Yeah, let's conclude this because believe it or not, it's already been like an hour and 15 minutes. Let's bring this all together. Let's set some intentions.
Yes.
Where are you going to be 2 years from now?
Give me a moment to ponder this.
I'll let you ponder it, and then I'll brag about what mine's going to be. So,
Yeah, exactly.
in 2 years, I will have rolled up anywhere between 5 and 10 different marketing and advertising agencies and sold it for at least $108 million.
108?
Yep.
So precise. I love that.
It was interesting, man, because I was
108.
$108 million. So I was talking to my sales guy, Corey, who's soon to be my business partner, and we were talking about how we're going to strategically roll up all these marketing and advertising agencies, and we just did like some rough calculations, and we came out to like 128, right? But then for some reason, when I went to go get cologne the other day, because I had ran out, they asked if I wanted to put anything onto the cologne bottle, because you can like personalize it. And I'm like, yeah, actually. I said, how many characters do I have? And he's like, 25 or something like that. So I did Alec Winter, $108 million, like wrote it all out. And then I took a pen after he printed it and I wrote love and prosperity on it, because I know that there have been experiments done where when you say positive or negative things to water, right, any water base, that it affects the molecular structure when frozen, and that you can see a vast difference between the two. Like anything that has a negative energy or words or music put on it, it just destroys the composition of it.
Really?
And when it's positive in any capacity, it just creates the most beautiful crystalline structures. So clearly our words and our thoughts have a great impact on everything around us.
Yeah.
So I decided to put that energy into that. So every day or every other day when I go and I spray myself, I'm showering myself with love, prosperity, and money. Yeah.
Got a lot to learn. We don't have another hour.
We do not.
Damn, I mean,
We're
that's a hard act to follow.
No, it's not. It's not at all, because you're going to be a part of that plan.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, ideally in 2 years, if I don't get gobbled up as one of those agencies. But yeah, I mean, I would like to have a more solidified client roster that we can really harness in on the specific industry and really have a team that's devoted to helping them grow in that specific industry. So right now, there's 4 of us on the team. I'd like to basically double that and have 8 to 10 employees that are really devoted to their specific craft, and really build a network as well. That's another thing that I've been thinking a lot about, is through a lot of the relationships that I've built, I tend to notice like the parallels between different people in different parts of the world, or connecting brands with creators, or connecting just people in general. And I think, there's a better way to do it as far as creating like Breakthrough as an actual network that is able to be a liaison to a degree. So we haven't really like tapped into that from a business sense, but I think that there's opportunity there. And 2 years from now, I'm manifesting this. I'll be back here at South by, and I just thought of this now, but maybe I'll be presenting. And we'll do round, I don't know what this is, round 3. Now we'll have some rounds in between.
This one's round 3.
But yeah, okay. So but we'll be back here doing another one.
We should just make this a yearly thing at least now, so that we do like a
that.
yearly check-in.
Yeah, so a year from now.
There we
And
go.
2 years.
Yeah.
And 3 and 4.
I like it. Well,
I won't ditch golf.
yeah, what the fuck?
Actually, you know what? Fuck you, dude.
I just realized after that good
This
conversation.
has been
Fuck
a
you.
fucking drag talking to you, dude. An asshole.
No, it's honestly kind of good because it allowed we would have caught all of this up on the golf course.
Yes.
So it kind of set it up for success here in the
Also,
studio
did
today.
you like how I brought it back to how we started?
Yeah,
Like a good comedian would.
that was beautiful. True art, honestly.
Exactly.
But all right, dude. Thank you. This was a fucking fantastic little chat.
Thank
It's
you.
good to catch up with you.
Also,
Let's go get
were
some
we
tacos.
supposed to be looking at those?
No. You're
Okay.
fine. No, you're fine. It's just capturing us.
Okay.
But you have been an inspiration to me. You've been a great friend, and I would almost say business partner, in helping me figure out my path. It's been great being a brother with you in this life. I'm thankful for the past lives that we've been brothers, and I look forward to the future ones too.
Yes, sir. Let's go, baby.
I did.
Let's
All right.
go. Awesome. Wow. 59, right on that. We crushed that.
Fucking shabby.
That was fucking awesome.
My ass is sweaty. Jesus.
Wow.
Yay, want to get some fucking tacos and beer?
Yep.
Yup. Did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
We'll take, I assume you walked here, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, we'll drop this shit.